Read a couple more excerpts from Thumper. It might hit your nostalgia button. Your desk takes up most of the Youth Division broadcaster office. As editor, you're busy cutting and pasting when Neil bursts through the door. More agitated than usual, he slaps his hands down on the desk and leans across until his fierce blue eyes are inches away from yours. It was Neil who taught you how to win a staring contest, and you decide to win this one. You swear you see fire and smoke swirling in the depths of those eyes. He finally blinks and stands up. "We got to get out of here," he says, punching his left palm with his right just a few times like he does. Okay, come on, let's go. Actually, you wouldn't mind having a few burgers at the White Tower. Besides, you're kind of responsible for Neil, as he is for you. Your lobby buddies. Rick Emmett introduced you a few months ago. Rick is a youth counselor and your tennis instructor. He told you both you should become good friends because Neil was a better tennis player and you were a better ping pong player, and you could teach each other a few things. You later asked Rick why he really wanted you to be friends. He laughed and told you that you and Neil would be good for each other in other ways as well. Scrappy Neil could toughen you up a little, while you could smarten him up a little and help him with his anger. And it turns out you've become good friends. You snap up your South High campus jacket and put on your red and black check hunting cap backwards like Holden Caulfield in The Catcher in the Rye. You struggle to keep up as he charges through the lobby, out the front door and down the steps. You head down Main Street, an icy wind at your back. "People are sheep," he declares out of nowhere. "Stupid, cowardly sheep." "Everybody is?" "No," he says, stopping and facing you, "but almost everybody. Look around you." He raises his arms and turns in a circle, making a passing pedestrian duck. "Look at their stupid, cowardly, sheepish ways. Look in their eyes. You can see the sheepish thoughts they have." And he looks sharply into your eyes. "What am I thinking?" He laughs, bobbing and weaving like a boxer. "You think I'm crazy and I might punch you out." You laugh back. "Oh, I know you're crazy, Neil, but I also know you're not going to punch me out. Look into my eyes." He looks closer. "Let me know if you see any stupid, cowardly, sheepish thoughts." With a satisfied nod, he resumes his wind-assisted pace. In a minute, you're in the White Tower at Main and Chandler, ordering 4 cheeseburgers and 2 regular coffees for $2.50. You sit on a stool at the narrow counter looking out on Main Street. 2 women in black leather jackets are about to enter the bar next door. One is tall with long blonde hair, and the other short with a black DA. On the corner stands a businessman in a brown suit, waiting for the light to turn green, which it does, but he doesn't cross. He just stands there, holding onto his hat until the light turns red again, and he looks around to see if anyone noticed. Look at him, cries Neil, quite excitedly, clutching your shoulder and shaking you. "He's gone. Did you see that? There's nobody home. He's a sleepwalker." 2 elderly ladies, both tower regulars, are watching in alarm. So is the guy in the paper hat behind the counter. One of the women is also a regular at the old Waldorf. Everyone calls her Brownie because she always dresses completely in brown, including a brown wool overcoat that she wears even in the summertime. The thing is, Brownie has a matching witch wart. A bleeding wart shaped like a crooked little brown carrot sprouting from her chin. Anybody remember her? Yeah. It's a good inch long today. Sometimes it gets as long as 2 inches before part of it breaks off. A development you were once privileged to observe. You smile and wave to her in such a way as to let her know everything's all right. She looks unsure. Neil stops momentarily to take note of the carrot's condition, but immediately returns his rabid attention to the empty pedestrian. You try to get him to sit back down, but he grabs your sleeve and drags you out the door, which is probably just as well. "Just look into his eyes," he hisses in your ear as you approach the empty suit. "I bet you a burger he looks away." You stand next to the man on the sidewalk and look into the windows of his soul, and he meets your gaze and quickly looks away. "See?" says Neil as you cross Chandler Street. "He looked away because he's scared." Deep down inside, he knows he's not there. He considers for a moment, sensing your skepticism, and adds, all right, he's hardly there. The wind has gotten stronger and icier. You pull down the ear flaps on your hat and put it on the right way, as your parents would say. Neil wears no hat and leaves his jacket open as if he doesn't feel the cold. His intense blue eyes pop in startling contrast to his jet black hair and eyebrows. He says he's black Irish. He holds his head high, his chin raised defiantly, his hawkish face made more menacing by his angry scowl. He swaggers briskly past the Firestone store, Denholm's, the old Waldorf, periodically shaking his head and snorting, muttering, stupid, sheep, phonies, all phonies. Meanwhile, you're busy testing out his theory about looking straight into the eyes of all comers, starting with the middle-aged man with a crew cut and an Eisenhower jacket. Sure enough, his eyes quickly dart away. The same thing happens with the next guy and the next guy. See, he says excitedly, spinning his hands around in front of him like they're twin propellers. They're all missing. He stops as if he just had an epiphany. Someone bumps into him from behind and he doesn't even notice. He pulls you into a granite entryway, brings his face within inches of yours again, and in a conspiratorial tone says, know what I think when they look away like that? I think they subconsciously sense that you know something about them that they don't know about themselves and don't want to know. They'd rather hide in their phony little worlds. I think that's what scares them. You regard him with new respect. As crazy as that sounds, it somehow seems to have the ring of truth. But is it? I thought they were just afraid you were about to attack them, you say. But whatever they're afraid of, you must admit, it works every time. As you hit the sidewalk, you look into the eyes of a pretty Puerto Rican girl who surprises you by looking right back and smiling. But wait. On the next corner stands a tall, thin man who welcomes your gaze. It's Victor, the last sidewalk preacher. Oh, Jesus, cries Neil, holding his head in mock agony. Most people either avoid Victor, looking the other way and giving him a wide berth, or they laugh and make fun of him. You've always empathized with him for enduring the daily ridicule of the very bipedal ruminants he's trying to save. And in light of today's discovery, you now respect him for being able to look you right in the eye. So you walk right up to him. He's glad to see you, because his current congregation consists only of a mother and a curious son, and the mother keeps looking at her watch. You've been known to stop and listen, especially if no one else is listening, or if there are only one or two in attendance. You and he and Neil all know that sheep need someone else to go first. So you tacitly volunteer to be his shill and let him minister to you until a flock of said ruminants begins to gather. He's wearing what is apparently his only pair of shoes, too scuffed and cracked for a can of tan wax to camouflage, and his trademark rumpled brown suit, shiny pants, too short to hide baggy white socks, one of at least 3 bow ties, today's color is yellow, and his signature Art Carney hat complete the man. He sees you coming and smiles. Watery eyes, wide behind dirt-encrusted glasses, never leave yours. He's not at all afraid. Bless Jesus, he cries in salutation, clutching his Bible and hymnal in one skinny hand and reaching out with the other. You know what's coming, but you take his hand anyway. Rather than just shaking it and then releasing it, he grips it tight and keeps shaking it vigorously and doesn't stop. He starts to stamp one foot on the sidewalk in ragged time to his chant. Pump that blood, Jesus. Pump that blood. Pump that blood. Bless Jesus. Pump that blood. Bless Jesus. Pump that blood. Bless Jesus. Pump that blood. And after a minute or so, you're stricken with the absurdity of the situation and have to suppress an embarrassed giggle. At first, Neil has mostly failed to suppress his mirth, wheezing and snorting behind you. But now he gets into the spirit of the moment and starts echoing every "Bless Jesus" with one of his own. Another couple stops by to take in the spectacle, and here comes a tubby old duffer in nothing but boots, overalls, a flannel shirt with the sleeves rolled up, a big beard, and a red and black checked hunting cap, just like yours, except his ear flaps aren't down. Neil loves it all and stands a few feet away, trying hard not to laugh, as Victor further exhorts the Savior to stimulate your cardiovascular system. With one more "Bless Jesus," he lets go of your hand and slings open his Bible. Startling everyone, he begins to loudly howl the holy word in rapid-fire succession, spraying specks of spittle all around. In those days came John the Baptist, preaching in the wilderness of Judea and saying, "Repent ye, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Bless Jesus. For this is he that was spoken of by the prophet Isaiah, saying, the voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, and make his path straight. Amen. Bless Jesus." By this time, a few more curious passers-by have gathered round. The shepherd snaps the Bible shut, opens his hymnal, and turns to include his newly assembled flock, and begins to sing "What a Friend We Have in Jesus." I'm not going to sing that. His powerful, if nasal, voice echoes plain and simple in this brick and concrete canyon. Satisfied that the crowd has grown enough to attract more lost souls on its own, you let Neil pull you out. In parting, Victor looks over the heads of his parishioners and wishes you one more "Bless Jesus." You wave and continue your urgent walk to nowhere. That is the sidewalk preacher. How much time do I have? Thank you. Do I have 10 minutes? Nobody's in charge here. I like that. Well, this is the girl with the prettiest leg.
You have to read that.
Yeah. I have often walked on this street before. You're walking down Park Ave in time to the Vic Damone version of "On the Street Where You Live" playing over and over in your head. See, there's this girl. You've heard her sisters call her Shannon, and the name on the mailbox is Kelleher. So you assume her name is Shannon Kelleher. You don't know much else about her except that she goes to a parochial school. You've seen her waiting for her bus with her sisters in their plaid uniforms and knee socks. You've been admiring her from a distance since shortly after you moved to May Street 5 years ago. At first, you passed by her house every day on the way to and from 6th grade at Abbott Street School. You were 12, and she looked about 9. She had this cutest little face, usually dirty, almost engulfed by a wild thicket of curly, reddish blonde hair. It was an Irish face, all right, complete with little pug nose and bright blue eyes sparkling with mischief. Complete with little pug nose and freckles all over her cheeks. You've always had a fondness for freckles. Freckles and legs. But the pavement always stayed beneath my feet before. Sorry. Her left leg looked as if it had stopped growing when she was about 5. It only reached down just past her right knee. Its 5-year-old size sneaker was always strapped onto a short metal homemade stilt with a padded top. She was so used to wearing it that she could do pretty much anything. Skip, jump, ride a bike, hit, run, steal bases, shoot baskets, as well as, or better than, most of the other kids. The first time you ever laid eyes on it, she was beating up a kid a head taller than she was for picking on her older sister. You saw her kick that kid between the legs with that stilt. He went right down, and she walked away, tossing a stern warning over her shoulder. Throughout your 3 years at Chandler Junior High and 1 at South High, you found reasons to walk by and surreptitiously monitor her progress. Sadly, the last time you checked, the stunted leg had grown no more than another inch. But like your mother, Shannon never lets her handicap keep her back. And like your mother, she's your hero. You turn left onto Parker. All at once am I several stories high. I can't keep the key. The thing is, she's grown up into a true teen beauty, and her right leg has kept right up with her, blossoming into the prettiest leg you've ever seen. Swear to God, long, slim, and well-muscled, it tapers down smoothly to a trim, elegantly turned ankle. That leg is prettier than any of the cheerleaders' legs, or the calendars on Uncle Billy's garage, or the women in your father's Argosy magazines. You often think about her and about her leg, especially when you're trying to sleep. You can't get her out of your mind. Knowing I'm on the street where you live. Just work with me on this. You've never actually talked with her, Once you saw her across the stands at a Little League game, and you waved, and she waved back, so she knows you exist, but you didn't have the guts to go over and talk to her. Baseball would have been a good topic. So many times you wanted to walk right up to her and introduce yourself and tell her of your growing respect and admiration and why you understand what she must be going through. And so many times you've chickened out. Of course, it didn't help that she was always raising dust in the center of some hurricane of activity, surrounded by her many siblings and friends, until this summer. And oh, the towering feeling, just to know that somehow you are near. Now, when you finally have the confidence to approach her, she's nowhere to be found. You haven't seen a trace of her all summer, not in her yard, or in the street, or in the park. And there's been little sign of her sisters or brothers either. It's a ghost corner. You wonder what's wrong. You wonder if you'll ever see her again. The overpowering feeling that any second you may suddenly appear. And that's her house, that run-down double-decker checkered with black tar paper patches where hurricanes have torn away the tan asphalt shingles. Although you expected it, your heart sinks a little when she's nowhere to be seen. But a man appears in the door, lighting a cigarette. It must be her father. You stop and take a chance. "Hi, Mr. Kelleher, how's Shannon doing?" He looks at you and takes a drag. "Shannon's doing real good. She got back from her aunt's house yesterday. They're all out shopping for school." "That's great. Wish her well for me." "Will do. What's your name?" This is your chance. "Thumper." He laughs and says, "Thumper, huh? Okay, Thumper, I'll tell her." "Thanks, Mr. Kelleher." The pavement barely stays beneath your feet as you stroll up the gentle maple-shaded hill to Izzy Barron's little penny candy store. He also sells milk and bread and soda and toilet paper, but mostly penny candy. Your mom won't let you buy the bread or milk there because it's always past the sell-by date. Invisible behind the candy counter, but for the crown of his shiny, spotted, bald head, he rises from his folding chair. "Hello, hello," he says in his thick Yiddish accent, which I don't do. Smiling and nodding, hands clasped out in front of his apron. "What can I do for you today?" "2 Tootsie Rolls, a strip of candy pills, and red hot jawbreaker, and 2 wax Coke bottles, please. Can I get a cherry and a grape?" "That will be 6 cents, please," says Izzy, putting the candy in a little paper bag. On the way home, you bite the top off the purple Coke bottle, leaving the red one for later. You drain its sweet nectar and pop the bottle into your mouth with some serious chewing. But by the time you reach home, only a half block from Izzy's, you have to spit out the big flavorless lump in the sewer, swearing not to buy any more Coke bottles. They're supposed to be fruit flavored, but they all taste the same, no matter what color they are. You're pretty sure it's all sugar water. Well, good riddance to them after you drink the red one. You follow the sidewalk around your big battleship-grade triple-decker alongside a 3-foot-high concrete wall that surrounds and retains your narrow lawn. You walk down the gravel driveway and up the concrete stairs to your back porch, right above the rear entrance to the Du Bois Brothers auto body shop. Turning the skeleton key in the lock, you open the door and quietly slip inside so as not to wake your mother. She needs her sleep. Her condition has deteriorated to the point where she's now mostly wheelchair-bound. You close both of your bedroom doors and put on Errol Garner's Concert by the Sea at low volume. You lie back to listen, hoping it will drive away that song. You like the way Errol moans and grunts as he plays. It makes you feel closer to the man. And of course, you love the driving rhythm of his heavy, tricky left hand. But when the needle reaches the end of side A, you let it keep skipping back and think about Shannon until dropping off to sleep. The laughter of teenage girls awakens you and draws you to the window. There are 3 girls with long, straight hair across the street, 2 brunettes and 1 blonde. Their backs toward you, they're talking with the girls who live there. The blonde is wearing a cranberry sweater and tight eggshell slacks that accent her butt, which is very nice. You get closer to the window. The three say goodbye here and turn to go, and the blonde takes an awkward step backward and turns, raising her left hip up to swing her stiff leg around. With a shock, you realize who it is. But she looks so different. Not only has she grown 6 inches over the past year, but she's wearing eyeliner and makeup that hides her freckles. And she's straightened and dyed her hair. And the thing that threw you off until she turned around is she's wearing 2 shoes. They must have removed the stunted leg and given her an artificial one. It occurs to you she'll never run again. She'll never steal another base. But the biggest difference is in her face. The makeup can't hide the fact that her signature smile has been replaced by a frown of anguish, disappointment, and resignation. The creases between her eyebrows tell you that frown has been there for some time. And those eyes, once dancing with the joy of living, must now remain downcast to guide with care each painful step. You should be happy for her. She'll probably fit in better at school and in society, but you're not, because clearly she's not. Your already high estimation of her, however, just rose to a lofty plateau reserved for those who, like your mother, await sainthood. You've watched her bravely bear her burden through the years, embodying the joy of living all the while, and now she's endured her terrible metamorphosis, spending the summer cocooned in a chrysalis of agony, and emerging this beautiful butterfly with a broken wing. And still, as you watch, she shoulders her cross and learns to live with the pain, facing without fear a future full of new limitations and challenges. You've lost her, as she's lost herself. You waited too long, and now she's gone, resurrected as a higher, more magical creature, to be worshipped from afar as she teaches us by example. Saint Shannon, patron saint of perseverance, guide us through adversity. But your heart is broken. She looks up at you in passing, and you stagger back into the shadows, and the song in your head is over.